beer. Or what you hear in here, you might be near. Or far. Who knows? I'm coming in just a moment. I just had something to do. I'll be back in 1 minute. Gotta start it somewhere. Get some news. I'll be back soon. Okay, I've come back now. I took a pause because I see absolutely, basically, I see no reason to be very punctual making YouTube videos. It's kind of a weird thing, you know? You set your own schedule. It's just something I've always done on the side. I don't make money off of it. So it's not like I have to sit here and actually give you a bunch of bullshit fucking information that you don't want to hear. I don't have to make up stories and give you some newscast that doesn't matter or pretend like there's a bunch of exciting shit going on in the world when maybe there's not. But sometimes when I make a live video, I just want to talk about topics that it's kind of when I have a spontaneous thought in the evening. I've never done a live cast in the day. I do it in the evening. Have a couple drinks, maybe I'm feeling a little relaxed. And I know a lot of people who watch my live streams probably know that I do uh, have a couple drinks, but maybe that goes back to the video I made earlier about Tourette's syndrome and trying to maintain my own personal reality and my own ticks and twitches, if you will. But today I wanted to talk a little bit about ego because I find it a pretty funny topic. When I was younger, I didn't really think much of ego, didn't hear about it until I was a teenager, but I pretty quickly picked up on what it meant because of psychedelics. When I was about 16 years old, maybe 15, one of my friends brought home some LSD, and I had a wild experience with them. And I'm not condoning the use of substances, so please, YouTube, in your almighty algorithm, don't give me a strike for talking about something I did when I was a kid. It was acceptable back in the 90s, and so I tripped, and I was so fascinated by the discoveries I made about myself that I bought a book. It was called The Psychedelic Experience, and it was by Ralph Metzner and Timothy Leary. Now, it's not a very thick book, maybe 60, 70 pages. I don't know. I haven't had it in years. I don't know what happened to it, but it was based on the Tibetan Book of the Dead. The Tibetan Book of the Dead was a book that was written about how to prepare people for the afterlife, or rather, prepare yourself and your soul for the afterlife. And they found that this book directly correlated with the way that people experienced a psychedelic journey. Okay? And when I read this book, I didn't understand half of it. I was young, inexperienced. I'd only tripped a few times. Well, at least a couple dozen times or more by then. But I guess back then, every weekend, we were taking acid. And the truth is, I never, when I was younger, took psychedelics as far as mushrooms. I didn't even really know anything about psychedelic mushrooms. I didn't know anything about the psychedelic experience until I took this little paper tab, right? And it was such a life-changing moment and event for me because of the circumstances surrounding it. But the point here is that I quickly learned about ego. In that book, they talked about letting the ego go and ego death, which was part of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And, years passed and I've still been processing this. And this was 75, 85, 90, 94, maybe 1994 when I really understood ego death, right? So that'd be 414, 27 years ago. And it's just crazy to think it was that long ago. I mean, I was a youngster and I didn't quite understand what I was learning about the ego, what it meant to have an ego. And it took me a couple decades to process these things and understand that your ego is who you are. And you should have no desire whatsoever to get rid of your fucking ego. It's the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life. But when I was younger, I didn't know better. I had read differently because I perhaps was misunderstanding what it meant to have an ego, what an ego was. Your ego, look, I'm not going to get into, the Jungian philosophy and talking about the belief in there are three types of ego: the ego, the super ego, and the id. The id would be the primal ego, and then there's the normal ego, then the super ego that makes you think you're better than you are. I don't buy into any of this shit. I find it psychology trying to oversimplify what it means to be human. I don't care about Carl Jung. I don't care about any of these, psychologists, psychiatrists, philosophers. They all have a small contribution. But there are some people who really latch onto the coattails of these, people who taught these things like, oh yeah, he was so correct. Everything's about your mother. The old tell me about your mother syndrome. But anyhow, there's a lot of truth to this, that we are affected by our young life and our upbringing, and especially the formative years early. But beyond that, I think that people really misinterpret what the ego is. They think that it's something that you hold your nose up high so you can make more money than the next guy, that you think you're better than other people, that you are arrogant or pretentious, and that's just not what an ego is. The truth is, the ego really takes one form. It is you. And the idea that there are multiple forms of ego is just an illusion. In fact, Alan Watts has a phenomenal thing. I shared it earlier when I was looking into this and thinking about this stuff. And every once in a while I kind of revisit the idea of ego. And he always put, he put it the same way. It's an illusion to think that there's something to overcome. What you're trying to overcome are aspects of your ego. In other words, it's saying get rid of your ego is somewhat like saying get rid of your personality. In fact, to me, it's the exact same thing. You need to separate the ego from portions or components of who you are that you don't like. So, to give you an example of the danger of this, a lot of folks seem to think that you can just let go of who you are, not care, meld with society, and just basically just float free on some rainbow. Now I know this is a metaphor, this isn't really how people think. But believe me, I'm a hippie, okay? I got long hair, I grew up in the Grateful Dead community, I go to concerts, fish shows, I hang out with fucking people with dreadlocks and tie-dyes, and I'm one of them, okay? And I've met a lot of folks in this community who are, quote, spiritual. Now, spiritual to me is just a completely loaded term. It's bullshit. And I have no problem saying that at all. When people tell me, oh, I'm spiritual, I don't think of them any lesser. I just think they haven't got to the point yet where they understand that the word means nothing. It doesn't mean that they are uneducated or dumb or that they're, I roll my eyes at them, but I kind of can't help roll my eyes at the idea of, oh man, we've just got to get past our ego. This kind of hippie mentality that, not true hippie mentality, but what people associate with that counterculture. The, hey man, it's all good, bro, just let it go, and peace and love. Well, the truth is, that's not really how hippies are. Hippies are fucking hardcore, dude. A lot of people are violent as fuck in the hippie community, and this is well known. The counterculture will beat your fucking ass. Okay, it's not about like all peace and love, and that's, I guess, the point I wanted to make. People have an illusion that there's this peace and love kind of thing, and the atmosphere is there, but the minute you rip somebody off, cross somebody, fuck with them, fuck with their dog, try to steal their shit while they're in the concert, community gets together and chases motherfuckers off the lot. That's how it works because people care about one another. And I guess that's kind of the point, is that folks seem to think that if you react to something, it's your ego speaking. Well, of course it is. It's your personality. That's who you are. You can't deny that. You don't have to be what it really comes down to semantics. What society considers to be a, quote, egotistical bastard, right? Somebody who's just your typical CEO of some corporation who, everybody owes him something and he's wealthy and nobody else matters. What you would consider to be like an egotistical jerk. And but the truth is that ego. There are many people who are wealthy and well off who are completely humbled. There are many people who are poor or homeless who are arrogant as shit, refuse to take help, refuse to take service. The world is complicated, but the one thing that we all have in common is our fucking ego. If you don't have one, you're pretty much just pissing in the wind, literally standing there as a sheep, waiting to be herded, because your ego is what makes you stand apart from the crowd. So it's been a few minutes, 15 minutes here of me rambling. I'm going to stop and say hi to everybody who's joined in. Hello, Ben. Says, hey, Carpo. Hello, Sean. Good to see you. Hello, Alexander. Cheers from Oli. Is that Olympia? Oli. Olympia, Washington. Sean says he's been having some crazy ego death experiences by using cannabis. Yeah, there is something about ego death, and I'm going to get to that in just a moment. I haven't got to that point of, yeah. Hello, Kenneth. Hello, Arturius. And hello, Anna. And hello, I think it says cool channel name. Hey, cool channel name, what's up? So anyway, to get back to, and to address this point that somebody said about ego death. Here's what ego death really means to me, and I can only speak from my experience. And I've been an avid psychedelic user for 30 years. And in that time, I'm sorry, 20, wait, is that right? 95? No. I guess I was about 16. So 25 years that I've been consuming psychedelics. In that time, I've had a lot of experiences early on, and then I stopped for a period of several years. I had an experience where I took way too much. You want to talk about ego death? I forgot everything. I mean, I just covered myself with a blanket and waited for dawn. Psychedelics are very dangerous. Hello, Spencer. Good to see you. It's very dangerous to consume psychedelics when you don't know the quantity or the quality. And somebody sold me some. I took 6 of them. I should have known better. I didn't wait for the first ones to kick in first. I made a big mistake. And I always urge people, be cautious. You don't need much. I went from taking 3 or 4 tabs when I was younger to now taking 1 or 2 tops usually. Mushrooms, I've taken a quarter ounce of amazing strong mushrooms, and that was too much for me. And as once again, I need to make the disclaimer: I'm not encouraging anyone else to take psychedelics. YouTube has this huge issue with censoring psychedelic talk. Uh, no, I'm just saying these are my experiences, and if we don't share our experiences, we get fucked. But we're getting fucked anyway. Anyway, so the point about ego death, what it really means is that moment where your awareness is dissolved. You realize that you are part of the ether and that it doesn't matter what the ether is or means. When you realize that you are part of the spiritual world, and at the same time you realize you don't care or need to know what spiritual means. It's when you realize that you can walk down the streets in a tank top and short hair and still be just as much of a hippie as when you were wearing a tie-dye and had long hair. But that you can choose to have long hair again if you want. When I was 16, 18, I had really long hair, and then I cut it one time, and then in recent years I thought, I kind of miss it. And I thought, I'm only getting older, right? So I grew it out a little bit. And I thought, hey man, this is great. Uh, it's fun to have for a while, but the other night, honestly, I almost went in the bathroom and just shaved it all off. I would have filmed it if I did, naturally. And I wouldn't sell it though. I'd put it on a walking stick like I did last time. In fact, I have a walking stick in my school bus that has my old hair on it from when I was like 18 and I cut it. Hair is just hair. Facial hair is just facial hair. Sometimes you really want to break your ego, shave everything off you got and just, do the Pink Floyd. Go pink, as you would say. I'm joking, of course, but if you really want to know what you're made of and how strong you are, if you really want to know how well you would do without ego, you'd have to know how well would you do if you were totally naked, thrown out on the street, and you lost everything you know, everything you own, everyone you know. Could you cope? Because that's part of what defines us as human beings, our ability to endure through hard times. Honestly, I don't know how I would cope, but I'm just saying that I would probably break down and cry. I mean, I have a family. Some people don't. Some people could let all their belongings go. I could probably let all my goods go, but not my family, of course. But these are things that you have to think about. What defines our ego and what makes us us, and why do we care what other people think? Is it important that we care what other people think? Is it important that we care what our bosses think? Of course it is. If your boss thinks you're a shitball, you're going to lose your job. You're not going to get a raise. We put on a face. People pretend they don't put on a face by saying, oh, I've let go of my ego. Those people have some of the biggest egos out there. The people I've met in the hippie community who claim, oh yeah, it's all about losing your ego, these are some of the most egotistical pricks I've ever met. They always have to show you their cool stuff, their new jewelry, their awesome new expensive clothing. I know some quote hippie dudes who bragged about a $200 t-shirt and $300 pants they were wearing. not good pants. Now, mind you, there are some great patchwork pants out there that are phenomenal, that are worth the money. These were just jeans. They were designer jeans from a company, not from a private maker, because there's a lot of hippie, alternative stuff in the community that is phenomenal and really well made. But no, just a tank top or a t-shirt that was like $200, and he was bragging about it. And this was a dude who is enlightened as fuck in other ways, who has done tons of psychedelics, and I just couldn't understand his attachment to telling me that he'd bought some expensive jeans. It's very strange. Hmm. I'm going to back up and see if there are any questions on here, because I like answering questions if there are any. Um, Amanita muscaria. Yeah, that's a phenomenal mushroom. I haven't taken it myself because I'm not interested in deliriants or disassociatives, but I've heard it's great for some people. Spencer says, any tips on dealing with egomaniacs? Yeah, don't put up their shit, pretty much. Yeah, Amy says ignore them. Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing I would tell about egomaniacs, and this might go along with narcissists as well, because I've known plenty. I've met plenty over the years, many different degrees of it. I have a degree of narcissism too, to protect myself. Not in a bad way, because I recognize it and I can laugh at myself. I know I'm a dork. I know I do stupid shit. I know I dress tacky. I know that I suck at certain things. That's humility, and that's how I have to live my life. But there's a certain amount of arrogance you have to even live your life, right? But dealing with other people who are extreme egomaniacs, that depends. Are they control freaks? If they're control freaks, it's difficult to deal with them. Um, for the most part, ignore them. Yeah, just ignore bullshit and just don't bother. JB says ask them what they mean. I don't agree on that, because I would say you do, and they just give you some bullshit roundabout answer. Narcissists are some of the worst. Oh, hello, Orphic Egg. Damn it, I keep pushing this thing down. JB says we have a false ego which is based on the body, mind, and Maya illusion. This is where the crux of the discussion comes. Thank you for pointing that out, because this is what I was also taught. And for the last 20 years, I've been processing this idea of the Maya. The Maya means illusion, for those who don't know. And there's a lot of the ideas through history that everything's an illusion, that life is an illusion. This is modern. In modern day, this is manifested into what you would call um, the Mandela effect, the belief that everything changes, or that, nothing is as it seems, kind of thing. But anyway, the Maya, the illusion, and the body, when people say the false ego is based on the body, the truth is the body is what carries the mind. So therefore, it is only natural that we're going to associate the body with the mind. But more than that, if you look like shit and you carry yourself like a dirtbag and you don't ever wash or do anything, no matter how enlightened you are, you're going to be treated like shit. And likewise, no matter how cool you dress, if you're a pretentious dick, you're going to be treated like shit, right? Your attitude is noticed, and your person is noticed, your body. Therefore, your body and your mind are completely entwined, and you cannot get away from that. This is a lesson that took me a long time to learn, and I can only give it as my opinion. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to, I guess, separate yourself from your body itself. I mean, I don't identify with my body, but I do, because I look in the mirror every fucking day. So therefore, you are kind of the body and the mind in the same way. Without the body, there is no mind. I would not want to exist without my body, right? This is a conjecture, a very complicated issue, very subjective opinion. Some people have religions, they believe in afterlife. I believe that the body is directly correlated with how we perceive existence. Therefore, without the body, we can't feel the way we normally do. We would go completely insane. So we have to have this 3D body in order to exist in this ego. Therefore, the body and the mind are one and the same. Hope that doesn't sound too arrogant, but hey, I got an ego too. So, moving on anyway. There are no real egos, as I was saying, because the next thing is the real ego, which is the spirit soul. And this is my own opinion. I don't believe in the spirit soul. I don't believe it can exist outside of this body because this is all I know. In other words, how would I think without this body? I'm not saying that we don't have another existence or another form. I'm saying that I can't see it or understand it. Therefore, I believe what I can see, feel, and understand. And hopefully there is something beyond this and beyond this body that is similar. I'm not saying I don't believe that energy carries on, but as far as my conscious thoughts, my memories, that's really what makes me. Therefore, if my spirit body is different than me, then I have no reason to give a shit about it. That sounds very strange, but I could explain that further, and maybe I should make a video about that down the road, but I've thought about it a lot. I don't give a shit if I had a past life because I don't remember it. Therefore, I don't give a shit if I have a future life or whether I'm going to have karma in that life. It doesn't make sense. The things I do for the sake of just a betterment of society, not because I believe in karma. It's just like an excuse, like religion to me. Like, I don't want to do bad because I might get hurt in the afterlife. No, I don't want to do bad because I don't want to feel like shit in this life. Feel like I'm in hell right now. And I'm sure a lot of people know where I'm coming from, I guess. What is a prolapse? I don't know what you mean, Gordon. I'm sorry. Hello, Josh Jacobs. Oh, now I'm curious about what a prolapse is. Talking about glue and rolling it up and all this shit. Now, you guys got me curious now. Arthurius says, what if we don't actually exist? We do. Socrates nailed it when he said, I think, therefore I am. It's probably one of the most repeated. It is more profound than it sounds at first. The more you learn about philosophy, the more you realize how important that statement is. I think, therefore I am didn't mean, oh, I just exist. What it really meant was he had eliminated all the other doubts in his life. He had gotten rid of all the things that he couldn't prove were true. And he realized the only thing in this life that you know for a fact is true is that you are thinking, that you have a conscious mind. I'm sitting here awake right now. Now look, I've been having some crazy dreams at night lately. I don't know what they mean. Been going on for obviously during the whole COVID crisis, but beyond that, I have weird dreams all the time, and they've been intense lately. Flying down huge hills in a mobile or a house, like it was weird stuff, tidal waves, apocalypse stuff. I don't really attribute it to anything, but my point being, it's so real sometimes in a lucid dream, you might as well be here, in reality. And sometimes reality is such a dream that you wonder if you exist. The only thing we can do is assume that we do exist. I interact with all of you on YouTube every day, most of you. And because of that, we're able to discuss things that prove to each other that we exist, right? To a degree. But if you get too caught up in wondering whether things are real, you can go insane. Don't do it. You gotta stay grounded. I'm telling you, man, it's really, really important. Sean says, realizing the ego means to keep it in check. That's pretty much it right now. That's keeping yourself in check. And you keep yourself in check by continuously bouncing your ideas off other people to make sure you're not full of shit. That's the way I've done it. Whoops. Sean Sean says difficult. Yes, it is. Oh, see, you guys are talking about something totally different, huh? Ooh, backing up here. Reading comments. Just give me a second. Hmm. Oh, man. Reading the comments is interesting. Carpo, do not Google it. This is a warning. Thank you. Judging by the comments about bicycles and wrap an elastic band around it, I don't want to know. I really don't want to know. All right. I have no idea how that shit works, bro. I honestly haven't been to a doctor in decades. I went to one a while back for anxiety, maybe a decade ago. That was about it. I really don't have insurance, and I never have, and therefore I can't go anywhere. Yeah. Okay, so now the comments are talking about bicycle seats, and it sounds like getting hernias and shit. So I'm gonna go back to my discussion. Perfect. I guess there's no questions for me. That's great. Whew. Yeah, I'm definitely not a doctor. You know what's funny is as a kratom vendor, it's funny when people write me and they ask me like, should I take this herb and this herb and this herb? I'm like, dude. I get comments on my old videos about mucuna and ashwagandha. Even the one like somebody asked me the other day about licorice root, which I sold on my website for a while, and I was like, no, 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 no. I don't sell that shit anymore because it has, glyceric acid, which turns out to be dangerous in high doses. So I have to be really careful about what I talk about. Um, yeah. Anyway, I'm glad I did a live chat tonight to say hello to everyone, but I probably won't make it as long as usual because I want to kind of go to bed. Really, I just wanted to answer any questions people had about ego, discuss these things. It's hard because you know what's funny? If you learn something about getting rid of the ego, for example, let me give you, and then somebody says, oh, well, actually, no, that's all bullshit. And then you get upset because you believe that it's true. Your ego is taking over, right? In other words, all of us are presented with knowledge and new ideas, but our ego is the thing that holds us back from absorbing that. The only thing that we need to conquer when it comes to ego is conquering our denial of each other. That means listening to each other, paying attention to what other people say, not just glossing over their bullshit and saying, "Oh yeah, well, fuck you, I'm right and you're wrong." It's very important to listen to other people, listen to what they have to say. Once you start doing that, the ego doesn't even matter. In fact, the term ego just becomes pointless at a time. At a point, you just become, I don't know, how do I define it? I'll take a break and take a toke and think about this for a minute. Hmm. Like, do you wear clothes when you go to the store? And my question would be, why don't you wear pajamas? They're more comfortable. Because you don't want all your neighbors to see you at the store in pajamas, right? Now I say this, whoops, I say this for other people because to be honest, I actually go to the store in my pajamas. I am one of those weird guys who wears the tackiest clothes everywhere I go. I walk around my neighborhood in my pajamas. I just don't give a shit. I let that go. I dressed like a slob when I was younger too, but it was usually kind of to look cool slob. Torn clothes, hippie stuff, purposely ripped jeans in the 80s. Yeah, I wore acid wash jeans that were all torn up. Of course I did. But you know, the ego that I had as a kid is natural. As I got older, I realized like I said, in my psychedelic late teens, that ego doesn't mean a shit. And that's when I kind of just let it go. And ever since then, even though there's so much more information out there, I still hear the same bullshit about ego. You've got to let go of your ego, man. You got to abandon it. But when you listen to Alan Watts, he's like, your ego is you. Just be you, and that's the kind of mentality I've always tried to hold. The Zen Buddhism, if you will. Um, which, ironically, earlier today, I remember I went out on my back porch. There were a bunch of ants crawling out of the crack, making a hole in my back porch, and I just sprayed the shit out of them with peppermint oil and killed them all. And I said, I ain't no Buddhist. And I was just thinking about that, how I follow Buddhist principles, but I remember hearing somebody say, I wouldn't kill a fly or a mosquito. I'm like, get real, bro. You kill fucking insects all the time. Everywhere you go, you have to draw the line somewhere. It's kind of like, are you a vegan? Do you eat bugs? I don't know. To each his own. It's a crazy world to live in and a crazy life to live. So, back up and see if there are any questions here. No, I don't think there are any. Just more about herpes, not my, uh, or did it say bicycle herpes or hernia? I don't know. Anyway, cocaine. There you go. Cool Channel says, should people have the freedom to own assault knives? I'm going to be honest. I don't know if that's even a joke question or not. I don't even believe in assault rifles. As a mild-mannered peace bro hippie dude, um, I love shooting. I went out with my buddy the other day, and he had a binary trigger where it's like as fast as you can pull, but when you let go of the trigger, it shoots too. And it's a great time to go out and do target practice and to imagine a future where you have to defend yourself. But more than that, it's a kind of that's a joke. But there are a lot of people who fantasize about shooting people, and they're fucked up in the head. But the thing is, knowing how to use a weapon allows you to, hunt if you need to, but also to defend yourself against all the crazy shitbags out there. And it's a good thing to know. But as far as an assault rifle, I don't even really believe in that. I think that there aren't no such thing as an assault rifle. There are just high-powered rifles. There are low-powered rifles. There are binary triggers, automatics, a variety of things. Assault knives, I've never even heard that term in my life. I carry a knife when I go out, and even in just local woods. Sometimes I call it's called the bear killer. It's literally, I have it engraved with bear killer on the side. It's a joke. I did it myself with a Dremel like 20 years ago. But I carry what is it, like a 16, 18-inch blade in a big ass sheath, razor sharp, when I go out in the woods. It's like, it depends on where you're at. But the truth is, when I'm out in the woods here, I don't even really fear getting attacked. If anything, it would be a mountain lion. I would be much more fearful in the city. Therefore, if there's such a thing as an assault knife that'll protect you against cougars in the concrete jungle, I completely approve. I'm a hippie that supports self-defense. Hate to say it, but yeah, that's how it is. Mark says, when people say ego, I think they mean narcissism. Sometimes, yes, they do, but that's the thing. You have to define narcissism. It's totally different. Your ego, by definition, is who you are. So, yeah. If then you have to say, we need to conquer narcissism instead of ego. But in the hippie community and the alternative, spiritual community, God, I hate that word. It's totally different. But melancholic schizo says, can you name the top need to read books of you? Of me, or from me, or by me, or ones that I like? I really can't. Books are very subjective. I have never been good at giving book advice. I could say, if you're into conspiracies and you want to know about history and ancient knowledge, read um, uh, uh, Manly P. Hall. Where is it? The Secret Teachings of All Ages. Or read Behold a Pale Horse if you're into weird conspiracies and shit like that. Or if you're into fiction, read the Illuminatus trilogy. Books are very, very subjective, and I definitely don't recommend them. Okay, I'll recommend you 3 books that I've got sitting right in front of me. This is one I read right when the pandemic started. It's called Spillover by David Quammen. Phenomenal book. It's a few hundred pages. It talks about everything up to the SARS epidemic, and it really educated me on viruses. This one is called Nature and Psyche. I'm not done yet, so I can't recommend it. It's by David Kidner. This is a complicated read. The way he writes is weird. He talks about the subtitle is, it's called Nature and Psyche, Radical Environmentalism and the Politics of Subjectivity. And starts out by talking about how people act out for causes they don't even understand. And it's what made me critical of the Green Movement. And, people, if you look at what a lot of these so-called environmentalist movements do, they're absurd. But anyway, that's a good start to it, but I haven't read it. This one is called Behave. This is by Robert Sapolsky. He's pretty well known lately. The Biology of Humans at Our Best and Worst. And it talks about division within the human nature. And to me, if you want to talk about books, what's most important to me is not reading about obscure, weird butterflies and stupid shit in nature. Is really understanding my fellow man, because this world is going to shit quickly. We are treating each other like crap, and our egos are really ruining, us. Not the good ego, but the super ego, if you will. And it's depressing sometimes. So reading books about people, I think, is the most important to me. Okay, I'm going to read through the rest of the comments here, see where I'm at. Assault knives was a joke. Okay, good. That was good. I was actually very curious. No, I'm a supporter of self-defense. I am. I love reading comments. They're funny. Diverse hippies. That's great. Isaac Munoz says, any advice for a 16-year-old? Don't do what I did. I can give advice to a 16-year-old. I have a 9-year-old. My middle son he's almost 12. And I have an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old, but they're almost 9 and 12. So you know how it feels to become 12, right? You were recently 12, and now you're 16, so that's only a 4-year difference. My oldest son is 26, so he's 10 years older than you are. The only advice that I could give him when he was younger is to not let others tell you what's right and wrong when it comes to your emotions, how you feel about things. If you feel strongly towards something, go for it. It's hard because you want to inspire your kids to do the best they can, but you don't know what the future is. I would say as a 16-year-old, it's hard for me to give advice because I don't want to say don't go to college, don't bother, because it's stupid and wasted time. But that's really how I feel. My advice might not be good advice. Let me ask you this. If a 16-year-old wants advice, tell me, where do you want to be? Do you want to be rich? Do you want to be poor? Do you want to be, I wouldn't say happy or unhappy because that's really subjective, but it's hard to give advice to people that young. It really is. Okay. Mark says, have you read any Schopenhauer? He's the pessimist. I have, actually. All philosophers have their benefits. Being a pessimist can be beneficial because then when something good happens, you're actually surprised. But just don't get so wrapped up in, pessimism. But I've always tended to be an optimist. And sorry, I keep wiping my brow, but it's like so hot in here. I'm going to go pretty quick. It's getting roasting. It's been like 90 degrees every day in Portland here. Amy says, How to Be a Billionaire by Donald Trump. He's not a billionaire. I don't think Trump was ever a billionaire, to be honest. I think Trump was always a millionaire that just put on an act and pretended like he was wealthy. Oh, an actual book, you say? Yeah, probably. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Saw like an NBC like YouTube video earlier, and I clicked on it just to see because I wanted to see the reactions of people because it was about Trump, like having his blog canceled or canceling his blog or something, and it had like more views. All of the YouTube videos for mainstream media have more thumbs down than up now, and it's just like, yes, finally, people are waking up to the fact that mainstream media has always been bullshit. It's funny because I've actually always hated alternative media, like Alex Jones and whatnot. But every time I mention that, I get accused of being, oh, well, go back to your CNN. And I was like, no, I actually don't watch mainstream either. And then people are like, how do you get your information? I guess to be brutally honest with information, I actually used to look at the AP headlines. I still do sometimes, but they're kind of biased as well, naturally. But so is Al Jazeera. But they're both great sources for the big stories in the world if you want to know what's going on. And if a nuke hit somewhere, if there's a war breaking out, you'll hear about it on AP or Al Jazeera. But then I'll listen to a whole bunch of different sources and basically roll my eyes at every one of them. But it doesn't really matter, I guess, what's going on in the world. But with Trump, he's been on the media. The point being that NBC made an article and it was voted down because people are so sick of hearing about Trump. Fucking hate that guy. Such a douchebag. Okay, going through comments again. Brian. Oh, Brian, how do you feel about and how do you feel about oh god, I got a troll on here. He says, how do you feel about the N-word? I can answer that whether or not you're a troll, I don't give a shit, but you know what? The fact that you posted that so many times, I figure you just want attention. I'm guessing that you're somebody who lives down in a very sheltered part of town who's had a rough life as far as you think. And so you figure by saying the N word that you're going to like get my goat, that you're going to get me all riled up and angry and say, how dare you say something like that on my channel? The truth is, you make yourself look like a fucking idiot. You're a douchebag, my friend. The fact that you would post that 5 times in a row shows me that you're so desperate for attention, your mommy didn't give you enough love. Because how do I feel about any race? Humans are just humans. I don't give a shit what color your skin is. I'll tell you, all the black people I've met in my life, I've probably liked more than I would like you. Hope that answers your question, you shitbag, Brian. Fuck you, you piece of shit. I know you're a troll. It doesn't matter. I just wanted to say. All right, so, it's good to know that people really feel that important. Do you have an actual, are you a bot? I'm guessing you're a bot, right? Because you probably don't have an education enough to actually say anything like an adult. That's pretty sad. I've seen some pretty educated black men. Can you live up to their standards? Or are you just a monkey white boy? Come on, tell me. Put yourself out there. Show me your manhood, tough guy. I don't usually get guys like that on here, but I have no problem calling you out for what you are. Just a piece of fucking shit. Blocking Brian for flooding chat. No, I don't block. I love listening to trolls because honestly, they don't. I can flip past somebody's posting that fast. It doesn't even faze me. I made my point. If he wants to come back and say something, it's cool. Yeah, Brian. Oh, he says my ego isn't. Oh no, that was Sean. My ego's in check. I thought that was Brian. I thought Brian actually responded and said something else. Carpo, Ryan. Okay, here we go. Brian. How Brian? Where? Ryan says, Carpo, you got to give out some wrenches, brother. Wrenches. I've learned long ago Who needs a mommy? I'm guessing this guy sits at home and cries and sucks his thumb every night with a blanket. You know, I don't care. KC, it's good to see you, KC. Says, dude, he thought could be the worst in a millennium. The drought. Oh, fuck, dude. Yeah. He says the drought could be the worst in a millennia. This is going to make Bitcoin skyrocket. Putting my money. I don't give a shit about Bitcoin. Fuck Bitcoin. But I will say that this drought is going to be nasty. I agree. The Midwest is going to be fucking nasty this year, and so is the West Coast. In fact, we are facing some really fucking rough times out here in the West. Um, I'm I've been preparing for like a week to make a video about this, honestly. I've been shopping for, if you live anywhere west of the Rockies, go online, order yourself some HEPA filters, and honestly, if you can get a 6-inch like grow room filter with the carbon filter, you can get a pre-filter for it. This might save your ass. Wildfire smoke is nasty, and last year Portland was loaded with it. If you get one of those, then you won't have to deal with them being sold out in like 2 months. We had a fire in the Dalles today. We're going this weekend camping, and my wife's like, "Oh, great! On the news, there's a fire in the Dalles, like a 3 alarm fire that they've already closed Interstate 84. They reopened it eventually, but it's like, God damn it! You know, the fires have already started, and it's only June. This shit usually comes 3 months later. We had the driest winter on like a record for a long time, and they say that this summer might be the driest in one of the driest in the last millennium. That blows my mind. So that's pretty messed up. It's funny because I've always lived in the Pacific Northwest, and I've always bragged about it being the safest place. Like, oh, we have a couple volcanoes, because I live south of Mount St. Helens, but you know, I don't worry about that. It's just ash, if anything. But that sucks. Arthurius says, how do you feel about report button Brian? I don't know what that means. Report button Brian. What? Oh, I see what you mean. Well, the thing is, people just want attention. And Brian just needs a hug. Just wants a hug. I was going to say, block the Brian guy. Fuck the Brian guy. You guys can skip past it. Let him make an idiot of himself like a little child. I have 3 kids, okay? I have 3 little boys, and when they throw tantrums, I just wait for them to be done with their tantrums. Eventually, they run out of steam. They huff and puff, and then they go crying, and they suck their thumb with their blanket, like I said. Fuck Brian. It's funny, my wife's asked me, do you think your trolls are like somebody you know? Been like, I don't know. It's probably one of my old subscribers that just set up an account just to, you know, feel special. And that's okay. Think of it this way. A person saying a dirty word doesn't matter to any of us, right? I mean, if it offends you, get over it, pansy. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. But really, it's, for the person who's doing it, it's like, okay, kiddo. Anyway, needy Brian Gordon. Exactly. Needy Brian Gordon. Love me. I hope the aliens probe you tonight, Brian. Good one. Dude, you don't realize the aliens are looking for intelligent life. They don't waste time with people like that. They really don't. See, you can easily just block out any keywords. It doesn't matter. It's probably a bot anyway, so. Let me see. How can I... Oh, here we go. Okay, I can hide the user on this channel. Boom. Oh, wait. Here we go. I'm going to report user for oh wait, what do we got? Hate speech or graphic violence report. Okay. Message reported. Sorry guys. I don't want to put you through that. I know it's just my thing. Yeah, it's worth it to report people like that. Fuck it, get them out of here. So you're done, Brian. Fuck you, you piece of shit. I punch you right in the face. I hate people like that. It's probably a bot though. Arthurius says, "Where's YouTube mods when you need them?" No, let me tell you, the guys. I mean, this is important. Moderators suck. I don't. I understand people don't want to hear certain things. I get it. People don't want to be harassed. Harassment should not be allowed. But saying horrible words should not be banned. I don't care. I reported it because you all asked me to, and I don't want to put you through that. I would have just let him just keep posting that stupid shit. The truth is, I don't really give a shit what people say because I know it's a slippery slope. When you start losing the freedom of speech, you can't say anything. And believe me, as a YouTuber, I haven't been able to say a lot of things. I can't talk about kratom. I can't talk about psychedelics. I can't talk about any of these things unless I'm doing a live stream. And for some reason, it just kind of can go through, but they might delete it later. They'll block it. They'll blacklist it. YouTube has a blacklist where they will not promote any videos that talk about certain topics. And believe me, you've all seen the subtitles. Those come up automatically. And YouTube algorithms are able to hear every word these days. So unless you say, well, I'm talking about a specific herb that starts with the K and ends with an M, then they're going to know you're talking about kratom. And I just can't censor myself like that. But it's sad that some people are just so pathetic they have to use some extreme word. But here, let me tell you this. Talking about censorship and why it bothers me, my wife she was on it's a liberal type Democratic kind of group, local group here in Washington, Vancouver area, I guess. I'm not sure if it's local here or where not, but she's been commenting on this, group. And she said something about how she felt, and the moderator, because you're talking about moderators, banned her comment and said something like he told her, you have to edit this part out. It it was stupid. I don't even want to go into it. It was about the lab leak hypothesis with COVID, and she was saying how it's possible, and he's like, oh, basically the thing was you're spreading right wing propaganda. And when she called him out on it, he sent her a private message saying, oh, well, this is my group. I do what I want, basically. And when she called him out, he said, well, this group was for my entertainment. This is why I fucking hate left-wing Democrats, self-associated. Because I don't call myself that. A lot of these people are such douchebags. They're willing to fucking censor their own liberal friends because they're saying something that they might have heard Trump say or somebody else say. And this is why I've started to understand the right. But I'll never take that red pill bullshit. I don't, I'm not a conservative, no. I'm an independent. I go back and forth and I try to weigh the options and say, wow, you guys are all fucking idiots. If you really believe in politics, you believe this strongly in Trump or you believe this strongly in Biden, fuck you, you're dumb. I mean, no offense. I don't mean you personally. Of course, all my subscribers are smart as shit. I mean, none of you guys are dumb. But, or gals, or it's, or whatever you associate with, or any of the 37 pronouns that we have now. Gender pronouns and shit. I said that, damn it. Now I'm going to get censored again. The thing is, we're going to resist what we feel like we can't say. So if people can't say the N-word like that guy Brian, then they're going to, once they're blocked, once people like that are blocked, they feel satisfied. Like, oh, I got blocked. Ha ha ha. I won. And that's why I leave shit on like that. I let people make idiots of themselves because they do it well. Anybody with half a brain can look at that guy's comments and say, okay, it's either a bot or just some dude who is just sitting at home, has no friends, needs a blanket. I don't know. So, before I go, I want to go back through the comments here and see if anybody has any more questions. It's only been an hour. I guess I could stick around a little longer. I kind of enjoy talking with y'all. Or, wait, talking to myself? Yeah. Cool channel name says, learn how money is originated. Oh, my friend, you have no idea. I know more about money than you do. I'm just joking. I probably do, though. There's a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's about 1,000-page book based on the Jekyll Island is the place where the Federal Reserve exists. We went off the gold standard long ago in the 30s when the government bought back all the gold from the people, then doubled up the fucking gold standard price. But then in the 70s, we truly stopped printing any change that had any silver or gold in it. And it's been a desperate decline ever since. You want to talk about the economy? I could go on for hours about this. This book right here. You want to talk about money? This book was written a few years ago, Capital by Thomas Piketty. And it's Capital in the 21st Century. Big ass book, good stuff. I'm not all the way done with that one yet, maybe half. I got bored. I didn't give a shit anymore. Once I learned about fiat currency and how the system is manipulated, I realized that not even the best economists in the world understand how the system works because it's so deep, so entrenched in so many different aspects. Shipping containers, estimated losses, insurance policies and benefits, the cost of doing business, the increase in materials. I'm a carpenter. Price on lumber has gone up to $8 for a fucking 2x4. It used to be like $2, $2.50. I mean, everything is changing constantly, so to try to guess and understand the economy is nearly impossible. But understanding that it's all manipulated is key. And this is the same reason why I would tell anybody who tells me to buy Bitcoin, why would you believe? More snake oil salesmen. You're not mining Bitcoin at your home anymore. This is all done in China, India, these huge factory farms. I don't care about even the environmental impact compared to the foolishness of buying something so volatile. It's like buying a stock, but telling other people to buy it. I had a friend who told me to buy Bitcoin a few months ago. If I would have bought that, I would have lost my ass. I have learned to be careful about what I do with my money, but most of all, it's not about a quick fix. If you want to earn money honestly, I figure it should increase slowly with the economy. The gold standard was based on, the understanding that gold was mined at a certain rate. I know it's imperfect. It's a very complicated story. And if I start talking about the economy, I'll probably go on for an hour about it. So I'm just going to stop talking about it right now. Oh, shit. A bully just like Ellen DeGeneres. E-I-I-E, it's a bully? What do you mean a bully? They dissing somebody? I've never known them to be a bully. I hope nobody's being a bully on my shit, because I won't put up with it, but I didn't see anything, so. Anyway. Where were we? Yeah. Where's YouTube mods? I'm reading the comments, by the way. Anyway, bully just like Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres is, she's weird. Yeah. Don't even want to go into that. Learn how governance is derived. Well, I mean, I don't know if you're talking to me or other people. It's one of those things that people think they understand, and it just gets more and more complicated the farther you dig. That's all I can say about that. I know plenty about governance, but by the way, Brian, all your messages get deleted. I'm hoping that they're still deleted. It was reported anyway. It's just a channel that was made to troll y'all, so don't buy into it. Let's see, how do I do this? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip to the bottom here. Okay, I think he's banned now. Isn't he done? Is it over? Oh, Brian. Oh, yeah, I reported him for hate speech, too, actually. Hey, Brian, do you need a heart? Do you need some ball sacks? Do you need a pair of nuts? Oh, have you ever been raped? Oh, that's so cute. Whoops. Here we go. Report for hate speech. Guess we gotta do it again. It's just some drunk white boy angry with the world. Sorry about that. There's always one. Hate speech. Yeah. Okay, Brian, you got your heart. Oh, look at you, poor little sucker. I'm flipping to the bottom now. Where are we at? I'm going all the way to the bottom. I'm going to start all over with Brian gone. No, all the shit's deleted. Brian, you're showing up as completely deleted to us. So if you see yourself, I mean, yeah. Phoenician dialect has taught me anything about the linear parallels in which the existential philosophy extrapolate the proliferation. It's the coordinate. Oh my God. That sounds like you're joking, and I definitely realized that you're joking because I cannot. Yeah, somebody is a fucking. You know what's funny is that when people actually troll a channel that bad, it shows how desperate they are. It's really weird, though. I guess that's what makes live streams kind of stupid and pointless. Flipping to the bottom. All right, there we go. Salem Stone says, "What bullying move did I make?" Who's Salem Stone? What bullying move did you make? Did you bully someone? Salem Stone is a bully? Oh no. Is it Salem Stone? Why does this have to happen? Why do people have to do this? Let's talk about this. Are we having... Okay, I'm going to try this one time. One more time. The unfortunate fact is that people are so fucking stupid. It's a perfect video for people like that who want to troll. I just love it. This is great. Best night of my life. Best night of my life. Carpo, Gordon is being a troll is what's going on. Okay. Is he? Gordon, Salem Stone is a bully. Okay, Gordon, are you being a troll, Gordon? Okay, fine. All right. I'm blocking Gordon. Sorry, Gordon. If you're being an asshole, you're getting blocked. If I can, because I don't even know how. You're not a troll, you say? So, if you're not a troll, then explain your point, because I'm not going to let my fucking subscribers put up with some fucking asshole. I'm not saying you are, but if you are an asshole, then you're going to get blocked. All I have to do is just push this thing and block your ass. Let's see what you got to say now. Explain your point. Yeah, exactly. Everyone is bullying me. Are you fucking psychotic? I mean, no offense, but Jesus Christ. I haven't seen anything on there. I haven't seen anybody bullying you. Is everybody high tonight or something? About YouTube is a troll, actually. You're right. They posted a whole shitload of stuff and I tried to block them and I thought, I'm just going to listen and hear this out because I want to know what people have to say. This is fascinating. I want to know what adults in today's world have to say for themselves for acting like fucking children online. Grow up, people. Whoever that fucking, Brian guy was, whoever's posting shit over and over, what kind of a reality did you grow up in? Look, I'm 45 years old. I grew up in a world where I didn't even have the internet at the beginning. So, I was fortunate to be able to download a song. It took a whole fucking day. And then finally we get to communication and people start acting like fucking kids. Would you do that in line at the grocery store? I mean, is this where we are now? I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not saying it, all of you are, but that Brian guy, I don't understand where he's coming from. Okay, so about YouTube says I'm just high off kratom and edibles. Answered you, having fun. Okay, fine, that's fine, that's cool. I didn't know. I wasn't really speaking to you necessarily, but the other guy who was just constantly bullshitting people, using two separate accounts to actually jump in there. When I started YouTube, I had people who really got my ego. Speaking of ego, I had people who would this one guy who came to my channel and he would harass me all the time. And I totally bought into it. I mean, I really bought into the troll shit. And you know, oh yeah, like Mark says that you're assuming the troll is humans. You're correct, but I don't know if I'm not assuming people here on my channel are bots because I'm just talking about random shit. They're real people, but I had this guy who used to come to every video and tell me that I'm a Satanist and I'm evil and I'm a child abuser, and I really he got my goat. I'll admit it. This was back in about 2012, and I really fell into this kind of like sending him emails back and forth. But eventually, here's the thing: I sent him a personal email, and he sent me one back. We went back and forth. I basically told him this: I'm extending my metaphorical hand of friendship, dude, and I just want to let bygones be bygones, more or less. A long explanation, and he backed the fuck out, and he never came back. And it's when I realized that, you know, really looking people in the eye metaphorically is more important than calling them out. That telling people off doesn't always solve the problem. You know what I mean? When people are being trolls, people are being haters, it's easy to let your ego get the best of you. And that's when ego does become dangerous. It's when we get wrapped up in this idea that if we're wrong somehow, or if somebody's like saying something horrible, that we gotta respond, and we've gotta call them out. This is where cancel culture came from, and why I'm a liberal but I hate liberals, or why I'm a liberal but I hate the left. I have my own opinions on what's the right way to go about free speech. So it's not that I don't care. In other words, if a person had cussed once or said a racial slur on my list here, I wouldn't block them. But if they continue to post the same one, of course I will. It's about repetition and interrupting, not about what you say. And it's very important to have a distinction. It's not about what you say. It's about the intention behind it. And for some people, they just want to suck their thumb and have a blankie. So, anyway, I'm going to go pretty quick here. Sorry, I got disconnected there for a moment. It's hot as fuck in here, too. Red Bar Radio. Never heard of Red Bar Radio. Then again, I've never heard of anything because I've been living in the woods under a rock for like 45 years. Fortunately, I've been able to post videos and stream from under that rock. Oh, shit. Anyway, it's been good to talk to y'all. Make sure you hit the fucking like button. Otherwise, I'll kick your ass. Not kidding. I know where you all live, and I'll come get you. The first 10 years of YouTube, I heard people say, hit the like button, and I thought, how cheesy. But truth is, if you don't, then, you're being an asshole. And you suck. And I'm totally joking, of course. Sorry, I'm just being a little rowdy, having a good time at the expense of y'all. I don't have my glasses, and it's getting harder to read the comments, but, Andre, I'm outside Carpo's house. Yeah, dude, I got a fucking Mossberg pointed at you, dude. This is on a time delay. No. I don't see you out there. I made a video today about Tourette's syndrome. And it's funny because it's such a weird thing to have, but when you don't realize you even had it, it's like when you twitch. You're like, you might blink your eyes or like twitch your hands or like, tick your neck. You have ticks or twitches. It's it's a form of Tourette's. But I made a video earlier. If anybody has any experiences like that, let me know. And make sure to check that video out because it's been a weird life. And I've experienced a lot of different mental states. Sometimes I feel more calm, sometimes I'm a little more stressed. And I think that the more we interact with each other, understand each other, the better we are at understanding our own egos and our own needs, failures, and successes. But anyway, that's about it for tonight. I think I'm going to go now. Kind of tired. I might sit and watch Family Guy or American Dad or some shit. Maybe take some mushrooms, eat some acid, smoke some DMT. I don't know. Whatever I can get away with. No. I actually haven't smoked DMT in a really long time. Not for lack of having it, but for lack of the bravery to do what I used to do, which was overindulge. I've been very cautious over the last 10 years about psychedelics, I've got kids. I don't really have the time for that shit. When they're grown and they've flown, left the coop, that's the scoop. I'm going to be kicking back and enjoying myself with my wife. I've been a dad for, let's see, 22 years. Sometimes people have kids and they're spread out, but my youngest is 8, so it's going to be another 10. So it'll be like almost 40 years of being a dad before I can be supposedly free with my wife to go travel the world and do the things we want to do. And yeah, that's a lot of work on its own merit. I don't know. I don't smoke salvia, psilocybin, kratom. How about YouTube? So your trust fund baby. Trust fund baby. I give my mom her. I hook my mom up all the time because she can't afford a lot of things. My mom is broke as shit. My dad died when I was 15, so you want to call me a trust fund baby? Obviously, have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. In fact, I don't even know what a trust fund is. In fact, oh, you want to know the truth? My dad did leave me a trust fund. My dad was a postal worker for like 20 years or something. And he saved money out of every paycheck so he could leave money in case something happened for his family. And after he died of cancer at age 42, and I was 14, 15 years old, he left me a trust fund with my brother for maybe 80 grand of all the money he'd saved on it through his career. And then it got ripped off by a family member. So, no, I ain't a trust fund baby. I'll tell you that much. True story. Mushrooms and kratom is an incredible experience. Good for you, bro. I've done that, but I'm kind of, I don't know. I guess kratom is something I've taken every day, so I don't really think of it as anything. Like, I take kratom all the time. I'm not bragging. I'm saying that's a bad thing. I probably take it too much. And so I don't know. Like, I can't say, oh, I drank with kratom, or I took mushrooms with kratom, or I smoked weed with kratom because I take kratom all the time. That's just me, though. I have my own needs, right? You don't need a trust fund to live by the beach. You just need a good job. Yeah, true that. True that. Um, Honestly, out here in the Pacific Northwest, you can live on the beach pretty cheap. You don't need a whole lot. You can have a pretty crappy job and still own a house out here. Um, if you want to live near Oregon, Washington beaches, there's still some good land out here that's reasonably priced. But I have no desire to ever live near the beach with the potential of a tidal wave. No, thank you. Gordon says he's done trolling. Oh, that's nice. So glad. It's kind of funny. It's like whenever somebody's in a group trolling and they admit to it, I think about like hanging out with a group of friends on the back porch, like smoking a bowl or having a few beers, and having one guy that's just being a total dick the whole time, and then he's like, hours later, like, I was just trolling, man. Like, why? But, you know, whatever. That's just it. Just a fucking reality check, that's all. LOL. I respect this guy. You better, because I'll come to your house and beat your ass. Oh shit. God, I haven't been in a fight in years. I wouldn't want to fight anybody. Honestly, I don't care what people think. I guess that really comes down to the point of this video, right? To come full circle, talking about ego. It's perfect to have a couple trolls in the site because, man, 12 gauge. Shit, fuck your 12 gauge, dude. 357 hollow point, bro. uh, I'll just shoot from farther away. That's all I can say. Says, so I've been through a lot of bullshit in my life, so um, I've learned to deal with people and their own shit. It's kind of fun, honestly. I have probably I got a couple friends that would probably call me a troll when we're hanging out in person. My buddy Scoey, who I tend to pick on when we hang out, he he earns it though. But I love him to death. But to finish up about ego here before I go, it's just a funny thing. It's a fickle motherfucker. You've got so many different ways of thinking in the world. There's the spiritual guru, there's the tough guy, there's the pickup truck guy who jumps out and he's like 5'2". No offense to anyone. But there are a lot of cliches and stereotypes out there that tend to resound true. During this time, when we're alive, which is relatively brief, we slowly learn to recognize who we are as individuals. We start to figure out, like, oh, dude, oh, okay, I'm this guy. And then you start to go, fuck, I don't know who the fuck I am. Okay, wait a minute, I'm this guy. And we feel it out. So even people who are trolls, let's say real trolls, or, not real trolls, like under a bridge, but, the people who spend a lot of time online trolling, or the people who are always jerks at work, or, everybody has a story. Everybody has a reason why they do the things they do. Trying to understand each other is the best way to overcome our own ego. In other words, if you feel like somebody slighted you, laugh about it. Be able to fucking laugh about it. If you're the kind of person who somebody says something and you're offended and you think you've overcome ego, you are ego. Like you are completely wrapped up in ego because you're allowing somebody's words to affect your well-being, right? So the guy who came on and said the N word over and over, which honestly I'd say the N word if I could, but I feel like I'd be censored and deleted. I would say it because I feel like in context, in the proper thing. I made a video like 6, 7 years ago where it's more like 5 years ago where I said the N word, like said it out loud. It's never been censored. I've never had a problem with it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's still there. It's still there because nobody's ever called it out because it was in the right context. And the algorithms might pick it up one day, probably give me a strike for it. But the point being that times change and the way that we word things change, the way that we perceive each other changes, and not just with the times, but as we get older as individuals, we start to see that we were childish in certain ways, that we were arrogant in certain ways, that we were assholes to people for no reason. And I don't know. I've argued with friends, I've argued with family, I've argued with strangers. It doesn't ever go anywhere. But usually, the reason we argue is to defend our own ego, not to get to the bottom of the truth. And this is the root of the problem. Nobody really wants to know what's going on. They seem to just want to tell their story and be right. And that's pretty fucking pathetic. Andre says, context is everything. You're absolutely correct, my friend. Speed Dog, what's up, my friend? How you doing? Says, good morning, what's up? In for my morning coffee. Yeah, where are you at, man? You over in fucking Australia or some shit? God damn, it's like 11 o'clock here. I'm getting ready for bed. Let me see, what does it say? God, it's almost midnight here. That happens. But it's always like somebody always pops in like saying, oh, it's good morning. I just woke up. And I'm like, fuck, I'm just going to bed. It's weird. We live in a strange world. I guess the earth's not flat after all. Carpo canceled 2022. Andre, better delete that shit. Yeah, I don't even know where it's at now. I have no idea what that video would be. I just remember saying it to make a point, but you know, it's funny because I've never met I have no black friends and I never have. And the my only experience with Mexicans or anyone, of a different culture or race was when I was a kid and I was about 10 to 12 and we lived in Hillsboro. And to give you context, Hillsboro was known as Hillsburrito by the locals here or there in the Oregon area. And there were a lot of Mexican families in Hillsboro. It was a very popular place for migrants, and we didn't really, that wasn't it. We were kids, we didn't know, we didn't even care. But we moved into this like the first division that had been built. It was like this new home tract, maybe like 10-year-old homes, but around that, there were a lot of older homes and whatnot. And my best friend became this guy named Arlen Maldonado, this Mexican kid that lived down the end of the street and down this gravel driveway in this huge, like Victorian style house where everybody else had a ranch house. And he was the coolest guy. But these other Mexican kids that lived up the street would pick on me and they'd like fuck with me and they made me like count to 1,000 and threw jerk clods at me and on my back and hit me with rocks. And the point being that that was my only experience with any other race in the Pacific Northwest. There are not a lot of different races out here except a lot of Mexicans in certain places. I have no animosity against any race after my experience, nor do I feel awkward around people who are black just because I didn't grow up around black people. It's strange how people have their own unique perspectives of things based on like they think, oh, people in the Northwest are sheltered, like, but it is weird that so many of, well, I I shouldn't even talk about that. But what went on in Portland in the last year regarding the protests? Um, wow, holy shit! I didn't even realize until just now. I kind of wanted to like take a moment the other day when I thought about it's going to be a year since I went down to Portland and filmed the protests. I went down to Portland on June 2nd, 2020, to film what was going on with the cops. And I was up at the front gate when the cops started launching tear gas at us and cornering us. Nobody had thrown shit at that point. It was a crazy moment. And I was like trapped in the middle. And I filmed at least a couple hours of video of us running through tear gas, trying to escape while they were trying to arrest everybody. They tackled my son, claimed he had thrown bottles at cops. They ended up dropping all the charges. A lot of people said, oh, well, they dropped the charges on everybody. That's because they didn't have shit. The cops were being fucking assholes. And I'm not a big fan of the cops in Portland. I'm not going to go into that one, but it's just crazy. I just realized it's been exactly a year. And what time is it? Oh my God. Yeah, it's almost midnight. So at this very moment, exactly 1 year ago, I had my camera up over my head and I was running down the street with cops chasing me and tackling my friends and my kid. And that's goddamn, I can't believe that's been exactly a year. That's fucking nuts. I'm so glad I remembered that. It's fucking weird. Oh, Speed Dog says he's in Germany. Okay, I got you. Yeah, flipping through the comments just so you know. I keep pushing this stupid thing down. Here we go. Okay. Funniest thing I've ever heard in person. They didn't threaten. They tackled my son. Yeah, no, it was crazy. I wanted to make this point about what happened because a lot of people haven't heard the story. In fact, I haven't really told it ever on YouTube. But we were in Portland. We were protesting. My son had a sign. We were up at the gate. We were angry about police violence. And look, I grew up in Portland. This is nothing new. And I know a lot of people give me this thin blue line bullshit about cops needing protection. Poor cops. They don't even have, their job is not even in the top 10 most dangerous jobs in America. That's a fact. The cops, they take a risk when they take on that job. A lot of cops abuse their privilege and plant evidence, cause all kinds of problems. People want accountability. It's not just a racial thing. And I know this, but more than that, it's an issue with the police. We were all out there pissed at the cops, and the cops made themselves look worse. They started throwing tear gas at us. Dude, I've still got the tear gas canisters up here, actually. Yeah, here we go. I've got this motherfucker, aerosol, OC vapor, giant fucking like tear gas grenade, and they trapped us between three corners. They call it kettling. And dude, mind you, this was on day 2 of the protests. Nothing had even happened yet in Portland. No windows had been broken. There hadn't been any real major destruction. Pocket grenades, things like that. And I feel like people don't understand that their own house could be raided by police tomorrow, and that the cops could come in, confiscate all their money from their safe. For example, the cops could come in to your house thinking that you were somebody else. Even if they were wrong, confiscate all your money and drugs, everything, your guns, whatever you have, and think that you're a criminal, take you to jail, and then release you and say, we're sorry, but keep your money under suspicion that you might be a criminal. I know that the average American thinks that they're immune to this, but middle-class white guys driving across America every day get pulled over and have thousands of dollars confiscated by police in Tennessee, Virginia, elsewhere, and they keep that money for their own police departments. Then they use this to buy tanks But a lot of this is given as surplus anyway, and they get it for free. When you see a line of police standing on the street with their faces and their whole bodies completely covered in black, it makes it really hard to trust them. That's all I want to say about that. Yeah, fucking cops, dude. Homemade bacon using hot dogs in a rolling pin. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, flipping through the comments. Bump, 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 bump. It says, Salem says, I think a lot of people fail to realize that protests become riots when the actions taken, or lack thereof, aren't taking a cause forward at the rate the protests deem necessary. The truth is, what's happened in Portland in the last 6 months to 8 months even, in fact, what happened in Portland after the first month was complete bullshit. All of these dudes dressed in black running around breaking windows, we are pissed about it. All Portlanders are. Left wing, right wing, it doesn't matter. I am a liberal and I hate Antifa. Okay? I hate those fuckers. They are not solving anything. So it's not that I have an issue with, I don't know, the problem to me is people breaking windows and breaking property of small businesses. Now I understand that corporate America is fucked, and I know why people break Starbucks windows out, but that doesn't solve the problem. It just raises the prices on a marble mocha macchiato. The point being that we have to really call out people, even people on our own side. So, for example, I'm a liberal, and I think these Antifa fucks in Portland destroying windows are a bunch of shitbags, and they should be called out and arrested and busted for what they're doing. But I've talked to people on the right who can't admit that people who raided the Capitol on January 6th were criminals as well and should be punished. And I'm disappointed in America right now. That is the big ego. You want to talk about fucking ego? You talk about America. What's been going on in this country? It's disgusting. It really is. Hmm. Who about YouTube's? Oh my god! Come on, Gordon. I thought you were done trolling. About YouTube says, "Who cares what protesters deem necessary? They don't have to be there." You know what? That is probably the most ignorant comment I've heard in my entire life. No offense to you personally, but the fact is, your mommy and your daddy and your grandpa and your grandma probably fought, or at least someone in your family fought for the rights of workers in this country. You know, the Pinkerton Security Agency, they were created specifically to fight against workers' rights and people who wanted to organize and unionize and have a 40-hour work week and fair wages. The cops have always been there to protect the corporatocracy, if you will. They've never been there to protect the people. The idea of a cop walking a beat was an illusion from the beginning. So, yeah, protesters don't have to be there. You are absolutely right. And you know what? I didn't fucking have to be there. And I was. Because I give a shit about the future of my country and my people. The people who are too cowardly to stand up for what they believe in, they can stay home if they want. And that's fine. But nothing's ever changed from sitting on the couch. Those are my thoughts on that. Now, Andre says, what's your take on Black Lives Matter, the organization versus the saying? Well, the truth is, I think that all lives matter, and I think that Black Lives Matter, Brown Lives Matter. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to play the word games with people. I believe that the organization, the idea behind it, started out okay. What it became is a monster. Like every organization in history that's ever gained that much money. I hope they do something good with the millions of dollars that they raise. I really do. but I'm not a supporter of what it's become. And that might be offensive to some people, but I don't. I feel like at a point, maybe I don't know enough about what they're doing with the funds, maybe, but I've heard a lot of people use BLM as an excuse to spray paint on people's businesses. And if that's going to be used as an excuse for vandalism, I do not agree with it. Going through the comments again. Where are we at? Um, I'm gonna skip the comments that are trolls. Dun, 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 dun. Documenting it. Do you think there's you being there and me not being there is no difference? I accomplished the same amount as you by watching him at home. Well, what do you mean you accomplished the same amount? I mean, sure, the it depends on what you're trying to accomplish. I'm a photographer and a videography. I'm not a professional, but I'm an amateur videographer. I went down there with my high quality lenses and I took amazing pictures of lines of protesters and police. I took pictures of things that I'll never see again in my life. I ran down the street and choking on tear gas, but shooting photo and video the whole way down. Shooting tear gas canisters running past me. And when I look back on it, I look back fondly and think, I did accomplish something. I got my own video, something I might not ever get again. And so I was trying to accomplish getting video and pictures. So that was my thing. My opinion, anyway. So no, anybody can sit and watch their TV. That's pretty easy. If everybody sat at home and watched their TV and nobody went out and protested, it's kind of like the same mentality when people say, "Why do they block the street?" It's like I believe protesters should block the street because that's the only way the news is going to cover it. I'm so sorry you can't get home from work 5 minutes sooner. I just don't have any sympathy because when a cause is big enough to cause millions of people to spill out into the streets around the country, it's an issue. And yes, police shoot fucking black people and white people, all different races, all the time. And it has to stop. And so, yeah, it sometimes is worth standing up for what you believe in. That's my thought. Create your own society, huh? Well, that's what we're trying to do, I guess. I don't know. Now you're just getting a video changing story. Okay, now you are just trolling. There can be more than one reason why a person does something. Perhaps I was there to get video just so I could share it with people. I guess I could just say this. Go back to my video from a year ago on the 3rd of June of 2020 where I posted the whole video and my experience of running from the cops and my own son that I raised being tackled by the police, being mistook for someone else. I'm guessing about YouTube, you really have a personal issue with being a troll because it's like you're not really grasping the concept that police actually take away middle class citizens' rights too. That it's not just Black Lives Matter, it's not just any of these things. That when people stand up for their rights, they do it because they feel like they've been slighted. It's kind of like when migrants go to other countries and people are like, why don't they just stay home? It's like, well, if somebody's willing to pack up their whole house and leave their homeland, there's obviously something going on there that's bigger than, them wanting to just, let's just try something else out. People want to stay. They want their homes to be normal. They want to be able to live in their homes without confrontation. So when the police are coming in and they're harassing people, when we have things like stop and frisk and they can basically do whatever they want, when they can raid the wrong home with a tank and blast holes in your wall and not even pay for it, yeah, people should march. Protests have a purpose. So backing up here, where are we at? Don't need medical help through YouTube. Gordon, you do need medical help. You need more than medical help. You need mental help, bro. Carpo, tell him what they told your kid. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you remember that, Andre. Yeah, when they knocked my kid down and they tackled him, and he's like, what did I do? And they fucking slammed him to the ground. They put him in cuffs and said, when he went into the place, he's like, you know what we do to fucking white boys like you? Or no, he goes, what did he say? You know, we beat the shit out of white boys too. That was what they said to him in the police station. That's what the Portland police said to my son when they took him into the jail. And he said, what the fuck did I do? Because he was just standing there with the sign. I have the video. He was with me the whole time. He would never throw a bottle. He's not that kind of kid. He was there to just stand up for what he believed was right. I was there to take video and stand up for what I believed was right. But yeah, they told him, yeah, we kill white boys too, is what they said, I think. I think that's what they said. No. God damn it. We shoot white boys? Fuck it. You'll have to go back and watch the video. That's the mentality of Portland cops. Fuck the cops. I'm not a big fan of them. I'm not saying all cops are bad, but anybody who doesn't get that is just sheltered. That's all. He says, I know what the police suck. I just don't care. It's like complaining about car crashes. Don't drive them. So you're comparing driving a car to police brutality, even though by simple cameras on police, we can cut the problems down. Did you know that in Russia, they've cut down on car crashes by insisting all insurance companies install cameras in cars, which is why you always see things about Russia with their car crash videos. Knowing things about the world is important. It's good to know things. Start off again. God damn it. Yeah, about YouTube says if you don't like something, get away from it, leave. You just like I don't even know if you're serious. I really don't, because I'll answer your question if you're serious, but how do you leave from cops? You tell me that. Space Dog says, how's the weather in Portland? We had an unusual cold spring this year in Germany. Fucking weather in Portland has been hot, dude. It was fucking awesome. 90 degrees for like 2 days. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Now I'm convinced that you're a troll after reading your comments. It's really hard. I'm the kind of guy who really cares about people, which sucks because then when I have trolls on my channel, I like try to humor them because I don't know if they're maybe just psychotic or have some sort of a mental deficit or just a little retarded. I don't know the situation. I'm guessing anybody who does troll is a little retarded, but I don't get it. Oh, you don't have to flaunt your ego and righteousness. Aha, yes. I already told you that an ego is part of who you are if you were listening at the beginning, but you probably weren't because you were flapping your fucking keyboard the whole time trying to make yourself heard, as About YouTube does, because About YouTube isn't really about YouTube. About YouTube is about themselves. I have no problem with my ego. My ego could whoop your ass. Ryan says he got my outdoor garden planted. That's fucking awesome. My artichokes lasted through the whole winter, and now I have 12 artichoke hearts popping up, and it's early. I actually just fucking busted that shit out. Cut off all the lower leaves, and then I planted a bunch of lettuce and corn on the side. But dude, what I'm most stoked about is my raspberries. I've got some badass raspberries coming up. I am so happy. 2 plants. There was the Canby raspberry and the Meeker raspberry. The Meeker is good, but the Canby has or is it the Canby? God damn it. One of them has, no, The Meeker has thorns, and the Canby has no thorns. So it's a raspberry plant with no thorns at all. But dude, there are like 2,000 fucking raspberries on it, and I'm just can't wait to harvest. I'm gonna put those things all around my yard next year. My dream is to have farmland, to buy a piece of land, to grow all my own vegetables and have a shitload of berries and fruit trees and just live off the land. But, that's a pipe dream, right? Ego Carpa's faction of Fight Club. That's funny. Text chat. All right, well, I guess it's been a great run with you all. I said I was going to quit a while ago, but I've had a great time talking. It's probably getting late now. It's probably past midnight here. Yep, it's exactly 12:03. It's not that I consume substances because I have to. It's because I have to. It was prescribed by my doctor. I haven't had a doctor in like ever. I was just checking the fish tank. That's all. I was making sure it was bubbling correctly. Good fishies. Good fishies. So, it's been good talking with you all. Time for my night dose of kratom anyway. Salem. That's funny because I never take it past like 7 or 8 p.m., but I've heard people say it's great for sleep. I love kratom. It's really hard to determine whether product is good these days, but we figure it out. I usually take about 2 to 3 doses a day. But I try not to take it too late because I like to get a good night's sleep and have a good dose in the morning. But that's for another time anyway. It's your product. I've had it for 45 years. Thanks. I actually just got some new product in, a couple months ago, and it's some good Mang Da. I like it. But anyway, that's for another time. I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks for listening. I'm going to bed now. I'm tired. I'm out. I'll turn off my microphone first because I don't know why I had that going. Sometimes I make a podcast out of it, but I'm not going to do that out of me rambling on the internet. It's kind of stupid. Kind of pointless, but it's good to talk to you all. Don't forget, your ego is who you are. Bye.